Hello, everyone. This is another Black Conservative. I am Brian Bowling. Thank you all for joining me once again. So, Jaden Smith, Jada Pinkett Smith's son and Will Smith's son, stated that Jada Pinkett Smith introduced the entire family to psychedelic drugs. Now, I found this interesting but not at all surprised. Let's get right into this article. This is some juicy information that you guys need to hear. So it says, Jaden Smith, the son of actor Will Smith and actress Jada Pinkett Smith, has claimed that his mom introduced psychedelic drugs to his family. Smith made his claim while speaking at the Psychedelic Science Conference in Denver on Friday, where he said that the drugs made him a more empathetic person. Interesting, right? I think it was my mom, actually, that was really the first one to make that step for the family, Jaden said, as reported by USA Today. It was just her for a really, really long time, and then eventually it just trickled and evolved, and everybody found it in their own ways. Boy, it's interesting to me how these celebrities and these celebrity children and people speak. They speak in some weird, awkward ways to justify excessive behavior. I mean, it's weird. It's interesting and weird. I mean, Jaden, age 24, did not specify when he started taking psychedelic drugs or what age he learned that his mother had been taking psychedelic drugs. He praised the drugs, however, for making him more empathetic towards his siblings, sister Willow Smith, 22, and half-brother Trey Smith, 30. Siblings can argue so much and fight so much, and Lord knows me and my siblings have done so much of that in the past, Jaden said. Well, yes, let me say something here. Yes, all siblings argue and debate, but taking drugs, is that the way to deal with that? I highly doubt that. Anyway, but the level of love and empathy that I can feel for them inside of the, quote, psychedelic experiences and outside of the experiences has been something that's profound and beautiful. You already see where this is leading. The justification for taking this kind of stuff, right? Jaden specified that the siblings doing psychedelic drugs together helped them to, quote, open up our minds to get out of the old ways of thinking. Listen to that now. Listen to that. Open up our minds to get out of the old ways of thinking that got us into lots of these arguments, and open it up so that it just releases and makes room for you to work it out and massage it out until it's completely gone. What do you mean old ways of thinking, bro? Sister, or whatever she calls himself now, I don't even know. But what old ways of thinking are you talking about? I mean, what do you mean? Old traditional ways of resolving arguments? Once again, this is just justification for using stuff that could cause one to be addictive, but I'm going to get into the commentary a little later. Let's go into this. As noted by Fox News, Jada Pinkett Smith and Jaden previously discussed taking psychedelic drugs during the now canceled Red Table Talk. And I've never watched Red Table Talk, so I'm not going to say anything about Red Table Talk. I've seen some clips of it, but I have never sat and endured watching this kind of stuff. I hate mainstream news stuff, mainstream TV now, modern day mainstream movies and sitcoms. I just cannot stand this stuff. They're too woke, they're too nasty, they're too evil, they're too vile. I come up through the 70s and 80s, and even though those were excessive times, it was nothing like it is now. Now it's just nauseating. The characters in the movies are so they're so dislikable. It's nasty, So I don't know nothing about the Red Table Talk, but according to this article, evidently, I guess Jaden and Jada Pinkett Smith discussed taking psychedelic drugs during the now canceled Red Table Talk. So I guess they talked about it. Hey, those of you that have watched it, I wouldn't know. Okay. It says, I was introduced to a plant medicine 10 years ago to deal with my depression, and it knocked it out, the actress said. Okay. Jaden admitted to his mom that he tried mushrooms out of, quote, curiosity, only to learn, quote, what ego was for the first time. What ego was for the first time. So basically, mushrooms, you know what I'm saying? These mushrooms brought out his ego. I mean, what about all the people that do not take psychedelic drugs or drugs at all, but have an ego? Really? Come on, man. It's just justification for taking this type of stuff. But I'm going to get into that. It was always in my head talking, telling me what I was and what I wasn't. For the first time, I had like an ego dissolution where I was like, that was the moment that really changed me, he said. As Breitbart News reported, an article recently published this month in the journal Addiction found that the use of, quote, magic mushrooms by young adults has nearly doubled in 3 years, along with other hallucinogenic drugs. Find that interesting, right? Remember now, this young man is saying that, his mom introduced him in the family to these psychedelic drugs and that it really helped him. Could we say that's justification for taking this stuff? And now, according to Breitbart News, states that this type of addiction of magic mushrooms has been on the rise. Let's go on. Roughly 6.6% of young adults in 2021, ages 19 to 30, use hallucinogenic drugs other than LSD, up from 3% in 2018. There's another drug called psilocybin. That's PSILOCYBIN. I might not be pronouncing that right. Also known as magic mushrooms, stood chief among the hallucinogenic drugs used other than LSD. Roughly 8% of young adults used some kind of hallucinogenic drug in 2021. Men experiment with such drugs at a higher rate than women. Per The Hill states, public health officials face a growing societal disconnect over the risk and rewards of recreational drugs. Both marijuana and hallucinogens registered historical highs in young adults' use in 2021, according to federal data. Therapeutic use of psychedelics remain rare, of course, because most of the time it's not about therapeutic. It's not about healing or anything like this, or helping you out medically. It's not about that or emotion. For the most time, it's not about that. It's all about recreation and feeling good and feeling good and having fun. Okay. Goes on to say most young adults who use hallucinogens are engaging in youthful experimentation, as I said, not unlike their baby boomer forebears in the Woodstock era. And those experiments are not without risk. Nora Volkow, director of the National Institute on Drug Abuse, said drug users should be worried about a bad trip, which can possibly, get this now, which can possibly result in suicide. Megan Patrick, a study co-author and co-principal investigator of monitoring the future at the University of Michigan, said the increase in hallucinogenic drugs raises potential public health concerns. I'm pretty sure. It's really difficult to explain these trends, she said. We have some guesses, but we don't really know yet. And that's the end of that article right there. I find that interesting, but not at all surprising that someone in the celebrity field, particularly a child in the celebrity field, the child of a celebrity, would say something like this. Now, this right off the back, I'm going to start this off right now with making this statement about Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith. Now, I didn't mention Will Smith in the article, but the son supposedly says that his mom introduced the family to these type of drugs. Now, whether or not Will Smith is taking this stuff, I don't know. Okay, but I will point this out point blank. That's bad parenting. Period. In my opinion, that's bad parenting. You do not introduce your child to any kind of drugs, let alone hallucinogenic drugs, let alone psychedelic drugs. Why would you do that? I could go off on a tantrum about Jada Pinkett Smith, okay, but I'm not, because I don't know a whole lot about her and as a person. Okay, I only know what I see on TV. I only know what I read about her. I've watched her in movies, and that's it. That's not telling me anything about who she is. It's not telling me about her private life. Okay, so I'm not going to even get into all of that. But I will say this, regardless of what problems they may have had and what upbringing she may have had, common sense would tell you as a parent, you do not introduce your children to any kinds of drugs willfully, and then psychedelic drugs on top of that. Bad parenting. But as I said, I'm not surprised. I am not at all surprised that this would be the case. I mean, look at what was his name? What was it? Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Smith, whatever that man's name is, whatever, I don't remember. But you guys know what I'm talking about. There's another example of bad celebrity parenting. You know, their child is so messed up, dressing up a male as a girl and confusing this young child. That is sick and disgusting. And regardless of their motives of doing so, it's sick and disgusting. It is terrible parenting, and God is going to hold them responsible. And whether they believe in God or not is null and void, because everyone can agree on this one reality: we're all going to die. And whether one believes in God or not, whether these celebrities believe in God or not, when they die, they're going to have to face something. If God doesn't exist, you cool. But if he exists, you in for a hell of a ride. Pun intended, okay? But it's bad parenting right off the bat. But the other thing is, too, about these hallucinogenic and psychedelic drugs. Based on my studies, I've come to discover that a lot of these psychedelic drugs, such as LSD, was coupled with other psychedelic drugs such as mescaline and peyote and DMT and other drugs, psychedelic drugs, that were introduced to the American public in the 1930s, actually, by a man by the name of Aldous Huxley, who was a British agent who was sent by the British government to America in the 1930s to introduce a psychedelic drug known as mescaline, that's what it's pronounced, mescaline, to Hollywood elites and Hollywood actors. That was his specific purpose. His name was Aldous Huxley. He was a mind control expert as well, and he was sent here by the British government in the 1930s, sent to America and American Hollywood producers and directors and writers in the Hollywood elite in order to introduce that psychedelic drug to them. Why? Because part of the purpose was to completely destroy America from within. And part of the way in which one does that is to control the mind. Drugs loosens the person up. So it's easier to manipulate them and put them under mind control. Now, in the 1960s, it really jumped off in the 1960s so-called countercultural revolution. Okay? And you had LSD coming on the scene then. That was a real big major thing then. But well, LSD was a part of the Tavistock Institute of Mind Control that came from Great Britain. It also was being used by another institute known as the Stanford Institute. So you had the Tavistock Institute from Great Britain, the Stanford Institute, and you also had the Frankfurt School Marxists, who basically combined efforts to completely eradicate traditional belief systems in America and turn America upside down in the 1960s. The whole countercultural revolution of the 1960s, according to researchers, and I've read up on this, they've been documented, was a planned event. The purpose was to completely destroy America from within, to destroy it from its Christian roots and flip it over on its head, to divide it and separate it. And it worked. And these psychedelic drugs, such as LSD, mescaline, peyote, DMT, and others, okay, including what this young man mentions here, okay, yes, it was all introduced as a giant, national, massive mind-controlled experiment. That's what that was. The purpose of all these psychedelic drugs is to dumb everybody down so it's easier to control them. I see this all the time. Once again, I'm going to share with this on my job. Okay, fentanyl and all this other type of stuff is designed to destroy the psychological mindset of the people, to dumb them down so that it's easier to put them under mind control. A vast amount of people in this country are under mind control. First, you get them drugged up. Then you shock their system with constant scenes of violence on TV. This person got shot. That person got shot. What are we constantly hearing and seeing? All of these mass shootings, right? Constantly being shown on TV. That's all by design. Get them hooked to drugs, right? Get them hooked on the drugs. That keeps them in a suppressed state. Then you show them all this constant violence in the news. Mass shootings, this, that, all this disorganization. That basically puts their system into a shock. So they their mind starts trying to find ways to deal with the shock. So they kind of, go into like a disassociative state of mind. Now you've numbed their senses with the drugs. You shock them now with all these constant scenes of mass shootings in the news. And now you come with the hypnosis. Where's the hypnosis? The hypnosis is through the music. This rotten, messed up music that these people listen to. Y'all know I'm telling the truth. This music in modern time is nasty, sick, and depraved, and it's that way on purpose. It's not about popularity. That's a bunch of nonsense. This music stinks. The lyrics are designed to get into the subconscious of the people that listen to it in order to control them for the new world order. This is all by plan. So you got that part. Okay. So yeah, there. And someone like this young man here who says his mom introduced him to psychedelic drugs is just another way to excuse the use of psychedelic drugs. Oh, it's all helping you. It's helping you to deal with your ego and helping you to deal with sibling arguments and rivalries and so forth. Whatever happened to dealing with, as I said in the introduction to the video, whatever happened to dealing with tensions and problems in sibling relations or any relationship for that matter in a proper way? Let's communicate. It's called communication, people. Communication. Whatever happened to that, man? Whatever happened to just communicating? No. Can't do that. You have to set up a celebrity that everybody watches, or the son or the daughter or whatever celebrity that everybody watches, to push the idea that these psychedelic drugs are good for you. They help you. Okay. I have heard of people, former employees, people that I've worked with that have said they have tried DMT, they have tried LSD and other drugs, and these psychedelic drugs have opened them up to a dimension that would blow one's mind. Shamans and occultists from different countries, and some of you probably know this because you probably read up on it, take these psychedelic drugs for a reason. They don't take these psychedelic drugs because it's fun. Woo, it makes me feel good. Woo, oh, it's maybe, no. The shamans and the witch doctors and the high-level occultists take these psychedelic drugs to open them up, to open their spirits up to the entities in the fifth dimension. That's what they do it for. These drugs open their spirit up to these entities. I've heard of so many stories about people taking drugs and saying they saw demons and aliens. If these are just hallucinations, why would these drugs affect the neurons of these people that take them to see aliens and demons? Why aliens and demons? Why not something else? What, is that some kind of suppressed desire that people want to see? I highly doubt it. What the drugs are doing is opening up their spirit man to these entities in the fifth dimension. That's what it's doing. And that's the whole purpose. That's why shamans and witch doctors and high-level occultists take these psychedelic drugs. They don't take them just to feel good. They take them to open them up to the spirit realm. That's history. That goes back thousands and thousands of years. It's not new. And it's the same thing that's being pushed on our society today. And people like this young man here is just a tool of the elites to push these psychedelic drugs onto the public and millions of people to take these kind of drugs in order to completely put them under a state of absolute mind control so that it's easier to manipulate them with subconscious and subliminal messages. You can say that's a conspiracy theory all day, but I've been studying this for some years. I've been reading on it for some years. It is documented, and we're seeing it day after day after day after day. It's planned. It's planned. But I could go on and on and on about this, but I'm not. I'm just giving you just parts of it. You see these 3 books up here? Check them books out. Paul McGuire, highly documented, okay? That's just 3 of his books that he talks about all that type of stuff. In fact, Paul McGuire was a part of the counterculture revolution. He took certain types of drugs during that time, and he states that them drugs opened him up to this dimension. You got someone that actually dealt with the stuff. Come on, man. Come on. But that's what I wanted to say about that. What do you guys think about this nonsense? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe to my channel. God bless you all, and see you again.